We are live. Look at that. I'm surprised every time that it works. Um, Welcome, Richard C. White, to the show. You're classing up the show tonight. Don't know how to deal with that, but how are you today, sir?
Doing quite well. Thank you all very much for the invite. I'm looking forward to this.
You don't know how to deal with that, Mike? Everybody classes up this show. I mean,
Some more than others.
you just insulted over 200 people who have been on this show.
Almost 250, yeah. But you know, if you don't,
welcome back.
Like I said, I'll try not to drag your ratings down too much.
No fear, no worries there. They can go. That's the beauty of being where we are. Is there is only one direction.
Yes, and Mike, they're already talking.
Look at this. JA gets the comment of the day, and we're going to wait a couple minutes on that, Jay, and hit that when we got a couple more people in. But we will get back to it.
Yes, we will. So, Richard, you are the writer of how many books? Did we get a number before we went live?
I think I have figured out that between short stories, novels, and novellas, I have written 27 published works so far, with a ton in the hopper at the moment. That's the advantage of retiring. I've got a lot more time to get my writing done.
Oh, it's okay. I'm jealous of you.
Not for the writing. When you say a ton in the hopper, what are you looking at?
Right now, I have 2 novels, 2 short story collections, and a novella collection that I am in the middle of editing, and hopefully some of those will be coming out next year. Also, a few of those will actually going to start shopping those around to agents to see if I can maybe sell 1 or 2 of those novels to a slightly larger publisher.
Nice. Do you have all the rest of the stuff go through an agent, or do you?
No, I have. That's one thing I have failed to do, is to secure an agent yet. It's like I tell people, at one of these days I'll write something that's good enough. And until then, though, if publishers are silly enough to hand me a check for writing, I'm silly enough to cash it.
There you go.
So you're up in Maryland, yeah?
Yes, central, about halfway between DC and Baltimore.
And you're between DC and Baltimore. All right, yeah. You're just like a stone's throw from where I am now. Not too far off.
Traffic always terrible?
Excuse me?
Is traffic always terrible then?
Yes.
Okay.
And especially once it rains or it snows, because people around here have no concept of how to drive in either of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same is true.
Yeah. Well, anywhere south of Virginia, you put a little snow in the ground and people lose their ever-loving minds. they just don't know what to do with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have been passed by people going at a high rate of speed, only to find them about a half a mile down the road setting backwards in the median. And I'm happy to just honk and wave and keep on going at my 30 miles an hour or whatever.
Yeah. They don't understand the concept of brakes, and a 4-wheel drive doesn't mean nothing if you're driving on ice.
Exactly. 4-wheel drive equals 4-wheel skid.
Yeah, right.
So I had a guy in the snow and ice. I was in the right lane, so the slow lane.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 3 feet off my bumper and just revving his engine, and I'm like, dude, go around. There is another lane. And like you said, I found him about half a mile later. He finally did. He went the other lane and gunned it, and then I was like, yep, there he is in the median.
Karma is a beautiful thing sometimes.
Absolutely.
When it happens to other people, that is.
Yes.
So, Richard, what kind of stuff are you writing? All these short stories and everything?
Well, as I tell people, I'm a kind of a multi-genre writer. I've written nonfiction. I have a Terra Incognito is my guide to world building. I originally wrote it for authors. It was actually a column in an online magazine, and then eventually I collected all of my columns and I added some more stuff and put it out there. And for some reason, gamers seem to like world building. I mean, who knew that people like drawing dungeons and stuff? And I do one of my collections is dark fantasy. As I tell, it's my fantasy short story collection where I've taken myths and legends from around the world that Disney hasn't gotten to yet, and put my own spin on them.
You keep the parents alive?
Actually, I try to start out as close to the original legends as possible, and then we go from there. Like one of the ones I did was called Cat Skin, which is a definitely darker version of Cinderella, where there's no evil stepmother. Her mother dies. Cat grows up to be this beautiful girl of 16, and one day her dad looks at her and goes, "You know, you are the spitting image of your mom. If I married you, I could get my wife back." And she's like, "Oh no, oh hell no, no, we are so out of here." So she winds up blackmailing my character into helping her get to the ball because she absolutely must find a young man to get married to before her dad can find her. And so my character, this is an actual legend. Yeah, there's Cat Skin and Donkey Skin are two versions of this tale. And so for my character, he's like, "What? I'm some fairy godmother. I'm just going to wave a wand and make dresses appear for you to go to the ball." And she goes, "No, you're a thief with a price on his head. You're going to steal them for me."
Nice.
Which is what I love about Kat, because she outsnarks my character all the way through her story.
That's
always fun.
That is
I'm sorry.
Just a really curious kind of old folk tale that would come up, you know?
Oh yeah. There's no way Disney was going to tell that version of the story.
Yeah.
Disney's awful to parents. I don't know what it is.
It's and even when the parents alive, they got to make them stupid. I mean, no offense to Beauty and the Beast, but really, her dad deserved a lot better telling than he got.
Yeah.
I also do something called fantasy noir, where I'm taking hard-boiled detectives, and basically they're having to deal with werewolves, vampires, sirens, Valkyrie. But it's really kind of my love letter to the old 1940s radio detectives. So it's kind of like, what would Sam Spade or Philip Marlowe do if werewolves were real?
Right. And everybody's wearing a sword and all that. That's kind of a cool idea, because a lot of fantasy stories are, in some respects, kind of detective stories anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But to really hammer home that detective in that kind of world is it's a cool idea.
Yeah, and a couple of people have asked, is it kind of like Jim Butcher's Dresden Files? But Dresden is more modern day. I really tried to capture that whole 1940s, 50s feel of the old black and white detective movies and radio shows. And also a shout out to Glenn Cook, because his Garrett PI files were definitely a motivating factor in me doing these.
Do you think some of that is kind of lost now on the younger generation of readers who don't really know what a reader is?
Well, I mean, heck, I mean, my wife is not that much younger than me, and she still goes like, "Why do you like black and white movies?" I don't even know where to start with something like that. And especially, I mean, heck, now you can't even get a computer with a damn DVD. Everything's strictly, pretty much you got to go to streaming. And where are you going to find the old movies anymore? Because they sure the hell aren't on streaming for the most part.
Well, they probably are, but it's probably a very niche kind of streaming service that you have to pay $15 a month for.
Oh, or if on top of everything else you got to pay for.
Right. Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of amazed. I look for certain movies every now and then, and you just can't find them. They rarely stream them,
Mm-hmm.
due to whatever weird copyright or, studio money grab they're trying for. But anyway.
Well, actually, I mean, I've been taking advantage. Of course, I'm maybe one of the few people that still has a cable network, but I've been watching some of these old, some of the networks that run the old westerns.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually been given some thought. One, I'm either going to wind up working a Western into either a fantasy or a sci-fi story because, I mean, the stories are good. It's just, people aren't, it's like they were hot until they weren't.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 40 years. Maybe it's time to make them hot again.
Westerns are one of those things that comes back around every few years, but only for like 6 months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
There will be something that will come out and it will, kind of ignite everybody on Westerns again, but it never really lasts that long.
Yeah, you get like one or two good Western movies every couple of years, Unforgiven, for example, or
Right.
something like that. Tombstone. And then you're right. And then it drops off and then everybody's doing something. And then, then it finally comes back.
Cowboys and Aliens.
That had so much potential. It had so much potential, and they just couldn't seal the deal on that one.
It was okay, but that's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
J4 actually brought up something up here. He says, "Can you imagine how crazy it will be that AI will be so good they could alter the classics on a whim?" And I just want to ask you, Richard, and Mike, and anybody else who feels like they want to join in on this. So I was listening to a podcast driving up here today. And somebody posited that in the not too distant future, instead of being angry that AI is taking our books and using them to, do whatever it is they do, they said authors will be paying AI companies to use their books to grow or to learn or whatever, because that's going to be the new that's how books are going to be found. If AI isn't aware that your books exist from having digested them, it will never be able to spit them out to people and recommend them.
I will not say that won't happen. It won't happen with me. I will never authorize my books for use in AI. I would never authorize somebody to make an AI movie based on one of my books. I will not pay for AI art on my covers. Yeah. I prefer dealing with human beings, and no offense against computer programmers, because I'm sure they're human beings too. I know my wife's a computer scientist. I have to, I'm about to get smacked here in a minute, but as somebody said, I want AI to wash my dishes and do my laundry so I got more time to write books, not the other way around.
Right. Yeah. Well, some of the stuff that AI comes up with, I think we're still quite a ways away from the whatever net, Skynet. We're a good ways away from that yet, because AI still comes up with some pretty ridiculous things. So
yeah. Now I don't have take your word, AI, CGI. I mean, although I CGI is not AI because you still got people manipulating it stuff. But I felt really awkward. Not that I liked the last 3 Star Wars movies in any way, shape, or form, but like seeing them using Carrie Fisher after she had passed, seeing some of the, or Rogue One when they were using, manipulating Carrie Fisher. And I'm like, that just feels creepy.
Very much. Yeah.
And I mean, somebody keeps saying, "Oh, well, they should come back and do a new version of Casablanca," and they could just use Humphrey Bogart's image and put him up on screen. I'm like going, no, that would be, one, disrespectful for the first movie, and two, you're taking advantage of, I mean, I can't approve of using somebody's image just because it's in the system, it's on the net.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with copyright, going out, there's going to be more and more of that. I mean, like, surely that somebody's making the AI Sherlock Holmes now.
J4 says, "I'm sure actors are putting that in their wills." Well, they're actually putting it in their contracts now, because of some of these things that have happened. But Richard, you didn't like Star Wars 7, 8, and 9?
Wait. 3 Star Wars movies. I don't know what the 7, 8, 9 stuff you're talking about.
I don't know what the names of them are, but 7 was 4. the first one with Ray, it was just A New Hope. Gender swap. Same story.
I won't even get into the directors were actually sabotaging each other on the thing because
Get into it, please.
Oh no. We would be here for probably till midnight by the time I got done with my rant. So actually I'll be honest, I didn't bother even watching the last one. I was so upset I saw 7, I saw 8, and after what they did with Luke and completely just wasted Mark Hamill's participation.
Jar Jar was announced as a Sith Lord in the last one. So, no, that's not really true. But the fact that you believed it could have been, that's telling.
Exactly. I mean, it just seemed like they were taking everything and saying, "Hi, all you old people, go the hell away. We're just writing a new Star Wars for young people." Never mind the fact you've carried the franchise for 40 years. We don't need you anymore.
Now, you've done stories for Star Trek and Doctor Who?
Yes. I was very I can say it now because Big Finish isn't doing they're doing their audiobooks, but they're not doing paperback anymore. I would have paid them to do to be able to do Doctor Who. But I certainly was happy to take their check when they offered me a chance to write for them. But I mean, I would have, I know they say, money flows to the author, but I'll be honest, to get the chance to write Doctor Who, I would have paid them.
How is it writing for a big, well-known, very established franchise like either one of those?
Frightening. because well, and see, it's like with Doctor Who, I cheated. I had the first Doctor. I submitted a pitch for a first Doctor story. Well, unfortunately, a lot of Hartnell's episodes are missing. But I know there are people in England who remember them. And so rather than writing something about a doctor and one of his companions that I might get wrong because I can't find those episodes, I set my story before the first TV episode. So I only had to deal with the Doctor and Susan. I had a TARDIS that actually had a working camouflage. It didn't always look like a police box. So I was able to, avoid, because yes, Trekkies and Whovians can be very passionate. And they can also be very pedantic when it comes to, you didn't get that quite right. So I figured, especially since they would legitimately have an excuse with Doctor Who, since I hadn't seen those episodes, that if I just avoided them altogether, that made life a lot simpler.
And you've kind of added something to it, because I'm sure people would like to have seen or read something where, the TARDIS still worked and was, smelled like a new car and all that kind of stuff,
And I got a couple of nice comments, because I actually made Susan, his companion, the point of view character instead of the Doctor. So, because Susan was in a lot of episodes, but she was never really the focus of any of the episodes.
Now, do those episodes not exist because the BBC in their infinite wisdom back in the 50s and 60s or whatever it was, just reused tapes and taped over things?
Or got rid of, because some of those tapes actually became a fire hazard. So there was a chance that they, but yeah. And it was just, back then, remember, Doctor Who, when it started out, was a kid's show. It was supposed to be, that's why so many of Hartnell's and the second Doctor, Pertwee, I think, Patrick Troughton, they had so many historicals. That's why he met, went back to the Aztecs and met Napoleon and met Genghis Khan, because they were, even though it was fictional, they were still teaching, or they were pretending to teach.
Right.
So that the BBC would fund them as an education. It wasn't until later on that Doctor Who really started getting popular that they were able to drop some of that stuff and just tell stories.
Yeah, and I know I've heard stories where the BBC taped over like old episodes of Monty Python and things like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And now you just kind of go, oh my God, what were they thinking about?
Well, but you got to remember though, that was all well before VHS tapes or
Right.
DVDs or anything. So there was, outside of occasionally showing it on late night television or something, there was no interest in redoing episodes. And the BBC, unlike Hollywood, was rather cash strapped. So they had to, make do with what they had.
So for the people in the comment section, if you know what a VHS tape is fine, but if you need it to be explained to you, let us know, and we'll tell you about it. Because what's better than having two grumpy men complain when we can have three?
Exactly.
Right. Hey, so this is a good time to ask now, Mike. You weren't here a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's correct.
So where were you, man?
So sorry, everyone. The idea of me going on a date would mean that the Earth would be ending, and that's not the case. So I hope you didn't sell everything. We had a global business meeting that just ended today, thankfully. So Monday, they said, Mike, do you want to go out to dinner? I'm like, no. They said, well, everyone else is, and the big boss from Germany is here, and your boss from NAFTA is here, and I'm here, and we want to go out to dinner as a group. I was like, oh, damn it.
You are strongly encouraged to attend.
I was strongly encouraged to attend, yes. So I didn't get home until 9. I literally got home in time for you to ask Miriam, what was the last question you asked? Star Wars, Jar Jar question.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So yeah, that was I was like, maybe I can log on. Then you're like, this is a good place to end it. So
we didn't know you logged on.
So mandatory fun. Oh, that's always.
I did ask for the Griffin T-Rex story question.
Yeah, she put on Twitter that I would be very disappointed in her, but she was wearing elf ears, so I mean, I was going to be disappointed in her anyway.
The elf ears are kind of cool. That was a good look.
No elves are good. They all need to be killed. Okay. Dwarves, on the other hand, dwarves you can keep.
I suspected you might be a dwarf fan with that attitude. so that whole dwarf elf romance in The Hobbit was not high on your list of things to watch.
I never watched the Hobbit movie. I knew better. Or movies. I'm sorry. I only watched the one from '75.
The Ras Rankin cartoon.
Yes, oh, that's a great one.
Ras Rankin, whatever it is.
That was,
did you see the Hobbit movie, Richard?
Oh, the both of them. The Bakshi one original, back in the '70s, and the recent ones. Yes.
Yeah. What'd you think of the recent 3 that should have been one?
Or less.
Actually, I think the fact I thought that they made a mistake in that I thought the Hobbit could be 2 movies because if we'd have just cut out 2/3 of what was happened in the Elf Kings area. They could have made 2, and I kept thinking they would take the 3rd movie and maybe tell the War of the Necromancer, which is talked about in passing in both The Hobbit and in The Lord of the Rings, and that way you could have seen Sauron's turn, you could have seen where Saruman went off the rails there, so they could have set up all kinds, made it a really nice bridge between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but it was, the entire second movie was this really just like, would you get to the point? Just move it on.
You could tell that someone from like Paramount Studios or something said, hey, we want to have a ride, and we need you to do something that we can use for this ride. That the barrel ride scene was ridiculous. The whole dwarf elf kind of, thing with that female elf and Legolas being there was just so much wrong with that.
So much wrong. And Rivendell, not Rivendell, Lake Town. That could have been so much. I felt like they missed some beats. They set up some stuff, and then when it came time to deliver, it was not. I mean, the Lord of the Rings, I thought was even the extended versions, I thought used their time better than the Hobbit. The Hobbit felt like they were padding it really hard.
Well, I mean, the Hobbit's a very small book. It should have been one really good movie.
Yeah.
But
well, they had so many stakeholders because it had been sold and people had rights or whatever, which is why they said, well, let's make it 3. That way we can all make our money.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
But
really, you love the river scene?
In the Silmarillion, as far as I know.
You love the river scene. I think they did that in real time. That took so long. And it was just anyway. I'm not going to get into that.
Oh dear.
So I've spent most of this interview going, I don't know what they're talking about because I've seen like 2 episodes of Doctor Who and I absolutely hate it. Couldn't tell you a single person who played Doctor Who. I will never watch it. Just totally divorced from that. And I had the good sense to never ever watch the Hobbit movies. So I don't even know what you're talking about in movie 2 because I never even made it to movie 1 in the Hobbit.
Well, I'm not a Whovian, Mike, but there are some Doctor Who that are quite good. It's very dependent on who wrote the episode. And some of it's dependent on the Doctor. The David Tennant Doctor ones are generally pretty good. The Matt Smith ones are pretty good. Beyond that,
you see, my problem is I go back older. I'm more of a Pertwee Baker, the old doctors, Tom Baker with the scarf and the big floppy hat, and seeing him actually come back and doing stuff now with Doctor Who is amazing because for so long he tried to, I'm more than just Doctor Who. And he felt like he'd gotten horribly stereotyped for a long time. Tom Baker.
Okay.
But now he's coming back. He's doing the audiobooks with Big Finish, and he's popped in. He's been in on a couple of episodes. You
see that a lot with people in those kind of roles, though, because William Shatner went through a big thing in like the 70s, early 80s, where he was really, and Leonard Nimoy, trying to distance themselves from the Star Trek characters. And then later on, I think they realized, this is my way to food. And they kind of embraced it.
Well, I think it's like any actor. You don't want to, I've seen, action adventure guys try to do, serious dramas or comedy. Just, they want to prove, if nothing else, to themselves that they're more than just, a guy with muscles. So it's, honestly, one of the greatest anti-stereotypes was Lonnie Anderson on WKRP.
Yeah.
Because, sure, she's the gorgeous blonde bombshell with a mind like a steel trap because she runs that station. Yeah. No matter how much the owner thinks he does.
I read something about that just the other day, actually, where she said, why don't we make her the calm in the center of the storm, and just to do exactly what you say, kind of go off stereotype a little bit, which will be funny in its own right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. WKRP.
Yeah. Okay. I'm old. I admit it.
I did watch WKRP. So, growing up just out inside the 275 Beltway around Cincinnati, will they ever make another show about Cincinnati? And, still waiting on that.
About the same time you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything.
Or the World Series.
No, the Reds won back in the 90s.
That's true. The Big Red Machine was a monster.
Yeah. Yep. Back before Pete
years ago
was banned.
Yeah.
The 90s was 30 years ago, Mike.
No. It's only 15.
30.
You did Gen X math and you divide by 2. So the 80s were only 20 years ago.
Explain to me why I'm helping set up my 40th class reunion then.
Oh, God.
Riddle me that, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, though. It's all good. Who got rush tickets this week? This guy. So we're happy.
So, Richard.
Yes.
We are 29 minutes into this interview. So, why don't you tell us about On Wings of Steel?
Okay.
That's right. You've written before.
I do write occasionally, but honestly, I'm enjoying just talking about anything. This is great for me. Wings of Steel is it's my first attempt at writing a steampunk novel. It is basically, if you are familiar with Star Trek, there actually has some Star Trek in it, because back in the old original series, there was this episode called the Cloud Minders, which was set up where the wealthy lived in these floating cities above the planet, and the poor people had to live down on the planet and were mining and stuff, but they were supporting the people in the floating cities. Well, I came up with the idea in a steampunk where I set my city on an island. Since the city can't go out, it had to go up. And so they have these huge soaring skyscrapers with airships coming in, and but about 100 years ago, this cloud formed over the city and basically turned everything from the 40th floor to the 70th floor into what's called the dead zone, because it's just concentrated pollution. And so you have the wealthy live in these beautiful apartments above the cloud. They get all the sunlight. They live on these airships. The average people live below the cloud, and what we call the dark side. And and then of course the very poor people live underground in where all the heavy industry is. So I've definitely get a chance to address, social stratification, stuff like that in this. My character who's there on the cover is a member of the Angels of Steel, which is a elite courier service that flies packages throughout the town. And one day when she's out, a body drops out of the sky right in front of her. So of course the cops assume that she must have done it because, she's the only one there. Sure, because bodies don't just fall out of the sky. Then they find out that it's the body of an ambassador's daughter. So now they really don't care if she did it or not, because somebody's got to take the blame for this. So it winds up being her and her friends trying to find out what really happened, because, the police aren't interested in they've already got their suspect. So, and of course, then as the few chapters go along, we throw in some air pirates, we throw in some spies from a neighboring country, and and things go to hell in a handbasket, as they should in most novels.
Do you have to? There's probably, even within just a city like that, when you stratify it in that way, it seems like it'd be. I mean, I don't know who your bad guy is in this, but it seems almost too easy to make it someone who lives at the top.
Yes. And we basically deal with, you've got street gangs, so we're dealing with that. We have, obviously there is potential corruption in the city's government. That is going to come up, but the Baron who runs the city state is actually a fairly nice guy, and he's doing his best. It's just that not everybody underneath him has the same attitude toward what's best for the city, and that's actually going to become more of an issue in the second book that'll be coming out. I've finished plotting it. I just need now to sit down and start writing it once I get some of these other projects under control. Yes, John, I really don't want to spoil it right now, because I would like you all to read it and see where this is, how this winds up, working out.
How much do you plot out?
Oh, I blame it on my media tie-in, because when you do media tie-in, you have to submit a plot, and then your editor has to approve it, and then licensing has to approve it. And then on some of my projects that were more than just a short story, I had to actually write out like a chapter breakdown. What was I going to do with this story? And then again, the editor has to approve it, and then the licensor, because remember, you're playing with somebody else's property. So they can get very protective over, what you're doing. Which is probably why fanfic is so popular, because you could do anything in fanfic.
Right.
But for licensed stuff, you really have to kind of follow the rules and stay close to within the lines. And so that's just carried over to my regular writing because you mean, will I chase a rabbit trail once or twice to see where the story might go? Yes. Do I usually wind up cutting that out of the book and saving that for the next one? Yes. Because otherwise
Go to waste.
you wind up with a book that's 500,000 words long and nobody wants to read that.
Amen.
So
I try 500,000 words, not 500 pages.
500,000 words is, that's going to be like 2,000 pages.
Yeah, it's I can't. I'll be honest. Pet peeve.
Oh, good.
I hate going to the bookstore because that's where I buy most of my books, and I look at some of these tomes that are being written by first-time authors that are 400, 500, 600 pages. And I'm like going, either A, this is the best damn book ever written, or B, the editor did not want to be the bad guy and just let stuff go through, because that feels like an awful lot of padding. Because I'll be honest, the worst, for everything that I've written for, and again, like my license stuff came out through Berkeley, Simon and Schuster, people like that. We had a hard deadline. I mean, my novels, 110,000 words was pushing it for those things. And I just feel like a lot of the new authors really could use some honest to God, decent editing, but a lot of editors want to be the buddies. They don't want to be the bad guy and tell people that they really need to, cut crap out or rewrite this, or you have a person sitting at a table and the very next line he's opening the door. Where's the movement? How did he get there? And plot holes all over the place, because I feel like a lot of editors just don't want to edit anymore. They just want to be buddies with the talent.
Well, they don't want to upset the person who's paying them and, risk not having that person pay them a second time.
Well, and these are also editors for big companies.
Yeah.
Because I have some friends who are copy editors, and oh God, I hear some stories because they make the copy editors be the bad guy, because the developmental editor isn't actually developing anything. They're just, hey, great job. Let's pass this one on through, because we already gave you that, big signing bonus.
I think Mike is, you guys need to do a DNA test. You might be long lost cousins or something.
I was going to say, my editor, I'm pretty sure that he does not mind being the bad guy.
Oh no, I'll cut the hell out of it.
I tell people all the time, like, if you want Roy to be your editor, he'll be like, this is crap. This will never happen. Cut it out. I mean, and to me, if you're not direct like that, if you say something like, maybe you should consider in chapter 3, I'll be like, no, maybe I shouldn't. So you really have to be very direct when you're talking to me, or else I'm not cutting anything.
Right. Well, and again, I want the editor trying to rewrite my story the way that they would write it.
Yeah, that's different.
But I do want the editor saying, Rich, this doesn't make a damn bit of sense. What are you doing here? And I swear, I tell people, the first editor I ever worked with, and this is back in comic books, back in the 90s, I swear I sent him a script. He sent it back. And if you'd have taken the envelope and held it by the corner, you could have just watched the red dripping out of it, like someone had thrown a piece of raw meat in there, because he just ripped me up one side and down the other. And I tell people that's why you never deal with an editorial letter the first day, because the first thing you're going to read that editorial letter and go, this man is an absolute idiot, or this person is an absolute idiot. What the hell are they doing? How did they get that job? Walk away, get yourself a good scotch or something, sit around, come back to it the next day. Yeah, they're still an idiot, but okay, here's a couple of things. By the time you've let it set 3 or 4 days, you're going to go, they're right. and you go in there and you go and fix it and make it a better story.
But please, please, please never tell your editor that they're right.
Oh no.
No,
We know.
no.
Yeah. I mean, you don't stroke the ego any more than you absolutely have to.
The problem with writing and or editing is that everybody thinks they can do it better than you. Right. I mean, at any job I've had, there's always like 3 groups of people above you or whatever who are going to be able to have to edit it, and you just kind of have to sit there and go, fine, whatever. If you want to do that, you go ahead. You're still paying me the same. It doesn't matter.
Well, that was like when I was a tech writer editor, which I did. I had to build, write documents, as a contractor, and or build a PowerPoint slide for somebody to present. And they would come up and say, "Oh, Rich, I think it would look much better if you made that a purple background." And I go, "I don't think that's a good idea. Here is why." If they came back and said, "But no, I really want that purple background," my response internally, because I never would say this out loud, professional at all times, is, "Toyota, you asked for it. You got it. It's all yours, buddy." And the only time I ever really fought was a couple of times they wanted me to change something after the lawyers had looked at it. And I was like, "Oh, no.
No.
We do not, I will call the lawyer and have him explain to you why that is a bad idea to change that." But I mean, you want me to put it in Comic Sans and 22 font in purple with green writing? My name's not on this slideshow. You can do what you want.
I will say I read Mistborn, and when I was finished, I was like, it's a good story. He could have cut 300, maybe 400 pages out of it and made it tighter and made it really good. But no, it was a sprawling, unnecessary epic, and that's one of the last books over 500 pages that I read. At least I'm stuck now with book series when like book 3 gets over 500 pages and I'm invested. I grumble, but I'll read them. Well, listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But if book 1 is over 500 pages, forget it. I will never, ever do it. And whoever keeps reading Wheel of Time and saying it's great, you're all nuts. You all call 3.5 books the slog, and you still read it and you tell other people why. I don't understand.
If it doesn't get better till book 4, why am I starting with book 1?
Oh no, it's like books 4, 5, 6, and half of 7 they call the slog, and it's just terrible. But you have to wade through that to get to something decent again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, never, ever, ever will I do that.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it may change. Then there's 2 reasons I'm doing it. One, because I much more. I just grew up with the small, 50, 60,000 word novels. But 2, printing costs. Let's face it, paper ain't cheap these days. So the less the smaller the book, the less I'm going to spend, putting it out there. But I'm really shooting for that 90 to 110,000, no matter whether I'm doing a collection, whether I'm doing a novel, whether I'm doing a, whatever. I really want to keep it around 90,000 to maybe 100, 105. It just for me, it feels like a sweet spot for writing. But I think other people have different opinions, and maybe people like those really long novels, but I don't have the unless, I mean, if I have read this author a lot and trust them, yeah, I'll give it a shot. But a debut author, you gotta really sell me on that back blurb, or I'm not. You're probably going to pass on a sale there.
I think the really big, thick books, though, are kind of writing to a niche market, because even 65,000, 70,000 words now for a novel, people are kind of liking those, right? Because you can get in, get out. You can read it over a weekend, and it's a little bit of that kind of romance reader mentality seeping through into other genres where they want it much more mobile, where they can get in and get out and get on to the next thing. But there's still some people who like the big chunky things. So, good on him for writing it, I guess.
Mhm.
Somebody needs to, not me.
So I can tell you that I wrote Proxima Station, which I don't have handy to hold up, Rose. Sorry. And it's 29,000 words. And I was going to a Comic Con with James Maxey. And I was like, well, it's just a novella. I'll put it over and pay and charge $10 for it. He goes, no. Put it with the novels. Sell it for 18. If you don't sell any today, then you can move it over to the novellas tomorrow. And I literally was like, yeah, it's a short book. Like, really? And that was actually a selling point. I'm like, yeah, you can read this in 3 hours. And they're like, oh my God, and they'll pay me $18 or, Palmer Pickering's Heliotrope is 800 pages and it's also $18. I'm like, I like selling my 150 page book for 18. So yeah, attention spans are getting shorter and short books, absolutely. People, that's a selling point. I sell, Chris Ritchie's Small Town Problems that he put on the cover, a sci-fi novella. I'm like, dude, get rid of novella. But I still sell it for 18, and people are like, yeah, that's thin. I like it. I mean, it's absolutely a selling point. So yeah, shorter books, people, shorter books.
Well, our audience is not a short attention span group because they spend an hour with us every time. And Richard, give me one sec. And if you are watching this right now on Twitter and haven't subscribed, please just pop over and do that. And then just comment who you are because we need 2 more of you. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I'm right there with, I had a novella that I had submitted to a publisher. Unfortunately, that publisher went under. I got the rights back, but I was looking at it and I decided I'm fattening up a little bit. I'm pumped it up to about 45,000 from 30,000. And I have an artist, and the cover artist is actually doing 8 interior drawings for me. So I'll have a color cover and then black and white illustrations to kind of, it'll help pad out the page count of it. But I think people will appreciate the artwork because my artist is phenomenal. I'm really impressed with her. I cannot wait to start showing it around. And and to be honest, I found her on Twitter. She's one of, I love it on Tuesdays when they do portfolio day on Twitter. I have been going through and just bookmarking the heck out of different artists who have websites. Even if I don't need them right now, I'm saving the list for future projects.
Yeah, I'm right with you with Proxima Station. I have art before every chapter because I was like, this is going to be like 100 pages, and I really need it to be a little thicker than that. So I have, I think 9 or 10 drawings that are in there. So yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
Oh, you mean it's time for the ball?
I think so.
All righty, let me get prepared.
All righty.
So, Richard, did you ever play D&D back in the day?
Oh,
or
yes.
Maybe you still play it. I don't know.
I haven't played recently, but yes, I'm quite familiar with the game.
Okay. Did when you played, did you ever have that one guy that just rolled ones like they were going out of town?
Have you been watching over my shoulder while I was gaming?
Well, Mike is that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, first of all, you have to tell us who your character is and who you are sending to the Bald Dome. And just to let you know, they do not get to bring any weapons or anything like that with them.
Okay.
If they have any innate skills, they get those, of course.
I think I will send in my rogue. That's all I can tell you because I don't know his name.
Okay. So your rogue is going to go to, hold on, and I had ChatGPT generate these. I keep saying I'm going to go back and cut it down to make it reasonable, and I have better things to do. So I haven't. But so your rogue has been sent to the Shattered Moon Temple. Ruined pillars jut from the ground, and fragments of a once grand dome lay scattered amongst thorny vines. A ghostly beam of moonlight shines on the stone altar where ancient runes still glow faintly. Beneath cracked flagstones, silver coins stamped with forgotten empires lay untouched, guarded by ethereal owls that blink in and out of our visibility with each phase of the moon.
Okay.
Really
All
terrible.
of that means nothing, by the way.
Yeah. Chat GPT, what do you expect? This is why I'm not worried about taking over my writing anytime soon. What is
Okay,
your
I have
favorite
a
color, Richard?
Excuse me?
What is your favorite color?
Blue.
So before the rogue is sent here, he sees an alchemist who says, "Hey, the tag came off this potion. I guarantee it's 100% effective, but I have no idea what it does. Here you go. Take it with you." So he has a blue fizzy potion with him that is 100% effective. No idea what it does. So now that he is in the what was it even? The Shattered Moon Temple.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a choice. He can have a common item and he'll face a common animal, or he'll have a weapon and he'll face a fantasy creature, and it's an encounter. And you can tell us a story. If you be like, "Well, I don't know what happens here," then I roll and bad things happen. So
Sure.
if you tell us a story, you can tell us a story. But if you want clarification, I'm going to roll and terrible, terrible things will happen.
All right.
So
I will take a common item.
Okay. Your common item is a shoelace.
Okay, so it's facing a common animal. Ro, is this me or you?
Oh, I got to get a. You're gonna have to go with common animal. I had monster ready, but
Okay, so he is facing a grizzly bear. I'm sorry, a powerful grizzly bear, because it's Chat GPT and they just love those adjectives.
it's
You
a
know,
magic shoelace. It won't break. So you've
Yeah.
got that going for you.
So it's not one of those weak grizzly bears. It's a powerful grizzly bear, because it makes all the difference.
Oh yes. Well, first off, my rogue is going to take one look at that bear, look at the treasure, and go, "This is really dumb. What am I doing?"
That
So
is a good bit of self-reflection that we rarely get in this.
So, however, though, if I remember, the description did say that the walls were broken and that there were like,
Yes.
So, provided the bear is not immediately charging him,
No, not yet.
he is going to attempt to get the high ground, because there's none of this, 100 men versus one gorilla. He knows he's not taking a grizzly bear by himself, especially not with a shoelace. But the treasure has piqued his interest. So he's going to see if there is a way to maneuver through the temple while remaining out of the grizzly bear's reach. If this is not possible, to be honest, he is more than likely going to go, "Yeah, nope. Your treasure doesn't do you a damn bit of good if you can't spend it." And
Don't forget, you also have a potion.
I do have the potion. So he will. Let's see. So the question is, the potion could be used against the bear or on himself, or on the shoestring, which would be interesting. So he will probably drink the potion and see what happens.
Okay.
I suspect this will not go well, but he would do that anyway.
It depends what your version of well is. You feel kind of odd. It's a little painful. Your POV starts going down. And when it ends, your point of view is very, very low to the ground. Like under the grass blades, kind of, not under the grass blades are coming up above you, kind of low to the ground.
Now this could be interesting.
You're not you, though.
Oh.
You're the rogue. Oh.
Then who am I?
Well, is there water nearby, Mike?
There's dripping water that forms a little rivulet.
Enough for him to see a reflection in?
Sure.
You're a frog.
A frog. Now that.
Roll a d4, Mike.
Oh, like I have a d4. How about d6?
Sure.
4.
Okay.
Well, given this change of events, I wonder how interested the grizzly is in a frog. Because we're small, inoffensive. We belong in nature, just like the grizzly bear. And as long as I don't like jump on top of him, I think I could probably outmaneuver him. So I will begin hopping my way from the rivulet towards that towards the altar in the middle. I believe that had the treasure on it.
Yeah, just the light shining on it.
Yes, just to see what actually is there. But I will cautiously hop, kind of keeping one eye on the grizzly and one eye on making sure like there aren't pit traps, there aren't little, fine wires running through the grass, just waiting for somebody to step right on one. And we'll see what happens. Again, I will kind of do a kind of a spiral into the to the altar.
So the bear is kind of going to where you were because he's like, hey, I saw a human there, it's gone. So he's just kind of sniffing the area.
Now, luckily, frog doesn't smell. Although bears are omnivorous, so will need to, not going to just assume he's not going to eat me, because he most certainly would. But I don't want to be so in a hurry to get to the altar that I stumble blindly into yet another trap. And provided I can get to the altar, I'm going to certainly hop up on top of it to take a look at all those coins.
Okay.
Nothing seems to happen.
You're a frog. I have no problem with whatever you do.
And then
I don't think it's going to bother you.
Nope. And so I will take a careful inventory of what all is there, and take advantage of my hopping abilities. And once I know roughly whether it's going to be worth my effort to come back or not, I will then now start trying to hop away and wait for the potion to wear off, hopefully, please. And come back another day a little better equipped and definitely with some bear traps.
Mike, check your text. I'm going to let Mike figure out what happens next here, based on the information I just gave him.
So I would remind you that there are ethereal owls.
Oh, buggles. Yes, there are.
So if your frog is on top of the altar, not in any way camouflaged.
He was not, because I completely forgot about the owls. Yes.
I mean, I understand, which is like 4 paragraphs for ChatGPT to see one simple thing. But go on. So, am I rolling to see if the owls care?
Yeah, why not?
What are we looking for? I rolled a 2.
Yeah, they don't care.
Okay. They're sleeping.
They're still lucky they're flying, actually. They probably nearly hit a tree or something with a 2.
Drunk owls. That's why they feel like they're going in and out of existence. They're just really drunk.
Yeah. I will take advantage of that and attempt to just hop, skip, and jump my way out of the temple without drawing the bear's ire. And like I said, try to hopefully either wear off this potion, or I guess if worse comes to worse, I'll have to try and find a friendly wizard who might take mercy upon a poor, mistreated frog.
How long are you planning?
Or find a princess to give me a kiss. One of the two.
Right.
How long do you want to wait to see if this potion wears off?
I have no clue. I mean, some potions are, short duration. Some take a while.
All right. Let's
face it. Getting back to town as a frog is going to take a while.
Yeah.
Mike's going to roll a d20 for every hour. And anything 17 or above indicates something is out there that sees you as food. And you tell us how long you want to continue doing this before you just say, I want to go home, and click your heels together 3 times. So go ahead, Mike. Start rolling.
I'm going to roll 6 at a time.
Okay.
For 6 hours.
Yes.
Okay. That's 6 hours is about right.
What do I have to roll for it to be bad?
17 or better.
17 or better.
Yeah, that just says something takes an interest in him.
Let's see. We have 1, 8, 5, 16, 16, and 18.
So one thing has taken an interest in you. All right. Let's say it's one of those owls. And where are you right now, Frogman?
Like I said, I have over 6 hours. I would hope I have made a little distance away from the temple towards the town I theoretically came from.
Sure. You can be there in an instant. Just say you want to be there, and this whole thing goes away.
No,
And-
I'm hopping along. You know, we're
okay.
we're
Are you under any kind of cover, or where are you now?
Or in the water, maybe, as a frog.
Well, I would certainly. I assume I would be trying to follow the road back to the town, if there was a road or a trail. So I
You're
would
hopping
stay
down the path.
on the edge of it. I would try to. Again, being a rogue, I'm going to attempt to, stealth my way along as much as possible. As they say, the nail that sticks out gets hammered.
Right.
And I try to avoid that as much as possible. I also still have my magic shoestring just in case. I have not forgotten that.
Okay.
Okay. So the owl has seen the frog. Give me a 15 or better for it to attack, I guess.
4.
And the owl swoops down past you.
And grab the mouse instead because they like mice better.
Yes.
All
I
right,
was going to actually wind up using the shoestring to try and tie its beak shut.
Ooh.
Interesting. Well, let's roll some more, see how many more hours he can go down this road.
Okay, let's see. We got a 12, a 6, an 8, an 18, an 18, and a 13.
So 2 more.
So let's say the same owl and a snake. But this
Okay.
is two different things. They're 2 different
Oh,
hours.
absolutely.
So what do you want first, the owl or the snake?
Let's go with the owl first.
Okay. What are we looking for? 17, Mike?
Sure. 15.
Okay.
Very close.
And the snake, give the snake a 15 because he's right on the same level with him. Should be a little easier for him.
4.
I am living a charmed life, and I think I'm about to run out of my charm. So
You've been hopping for 12 hours now.
I ain't turning back anytime soon. So I think it's about time
really
to go
not.
home.
Okay.
I think it's time to pick my little webby feet together and say, yeah, then that's enough.
And you go to Kansas. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
when
please,
you
please, not
leave
Kansas.
this
Anywhere
place-
but Kansas.
When you leave
That's
this
why.
place, you are
That's why I
back in
used
your
to tell.
form.
I used to tell people it's not the idea of why I was such a good soldier. It wasn't the idea of doing 20 years. It was the idea of doing 20 years in Kansas. That ain't happening.
Could have been worse. Could have been the Pentagon.
Ooh.
Right?
So
Yeah.
I saw a video of they said what are the best places in the U.S. state parks, or no, best places to visit in the U.S. And the guy's like, every state got a vote except for Nebraska, and Kansas got 1.
Ow.
That's pretty telling.
I don't know what they picked in Kansas. I'm literally confused by that one, but hey, whatever.
Topeka is a nice town. I've been there before, but it's.
Do you want a vacation there?
No. I'm like I said, being a Missourian, Kansas is not high on my list of places to visit any more than I have to. And I'm sure they feel the same about Missouri. So we're happy to let them think that on their side of the border.
They can think whatever they want.
Exactly. I just noted a note here from Tobias about the art, and you're right, Tobias. I mean, the adding in good art is not cheap. I mean, you can negotiate with the artists as far as prices and stuff, but you pay for, you mean you literally you get what you pay for. So, I prefer to spend a little more to get really good art and then just try to make it up on the back end. I know that's not for everybody. I have, excuse me, a slight advantage being a little older, a little more established in my career. Actually, well, retired now, but I can afford to spend a little more than I could 20, 25 years ago when I was first starting out. Uh, but I think it helps. I think it helps sell the books. Good cover art is something not to be sniffed at because it sells. People go, "Oh, never judge a book by its cover." People judge a book by their cover all the time.
All the time.
Every time.
That's the worst advice that you can give someone.
Yeah. Biggest lie.
I don't have any audiobooks, EL. I simply, again, I'm not at a position where I can afford to pay a really good narrator. I would love to, because there's some great people out there, but it's just I'm not sure how I would recoup that money in the long run, and I'm not good enough to do it myself at the moment. I've thought about it. I mean, but it's not happening right now. And I don't go EU because honestly, my best-selling book is my nonfiction book, and it sells better through Drive-Through RPG than it does on Amazon. So it would make no sense for me to limit myself just to Amazon. I mean, yeah, I might get some page reads here and there, but I don't trust Amazon enough to put my whole career in their hands. I like kind of going where, being able to sell where I want to, when I want to.
Yep.
All right.
But that's me.
Well,
I mean, it may work differently for. I know people who do EU and do wonderfully, and I'm happy for them. But I'm not that trusting.
So, Richard, I know we talked beforehand, and we just have not touched on it yet. So, if we can touch on it now, tell us about Writer Beware.
Thank you. Writer Beware is the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association's anti-scam committee. It was originally started by Victoria Strauss and Anne Crispin. Since then, unfortunately, we've lost Anne, and her husband, Michael Capabianco, has taken over for her. Right now, it's really just the three of us who handle things. And Writer Beware, again, Victoria is the person. She handles the website, responds to most of the emails and stuff. She's as the chairman of the group. I'm kind of the face because I do a lot of conventions, and I'm about as shy as a porcupine is bald. And I do a lot of workshops and panels at different conventions around the country to try and help people understand. I don't tell you what makes a good agent or a good publisher because that's a very personal choice, but I can sure tell you what makes a bad agent or a bad publisher. And especially now, since so many people have gotten into self-publishing, there is a whole market of people who are out there just trying to separate people from their money and give them absolutely nothing in return. AI scammers. I mean, face it, if you're a writer on and have a Twitter or a Facebook or a Blue Sky account and you're not getting inundated with bots, you're doing something wrong because they will immediately try and sell you book marketing. They will try to sell you paid for reviews. They will try to sell you, oh, we can make your website so much better for a couple of $1,000s. We can guarantee you, or send us some money and we'll get your book in front of Steven Spielberg or somebody out in Hollywood. And it's just but they're some of them are just blatant. You can tell right immediately that something ain't right. Some of these people are really good actors, and they make it sound so they're doing you such a favor until they. But eventually, somewhere in that process, the word money is going to appear. And as we like to say, Yogg's Law, which is based on Uncle Jim McDonald. Money flows to the author. Now, I understand as a self-publisher, you're also the publisher. You have to spend money. But if they're approaching you asking for money, they 9 times out of, well, just say 999 times out of 1,000, they do not have your best interests at heart. They're only worried about how much can I get from you before you wise up, and then they just move on to the next person.
My personal favorite is I got contacted and they said, "Dear Mike Molman, would you like to have us, publicize your book, Instant at the Peeling Head by E.L. Montague?" And I had to tell E.L., "I'm sorry, but I did not have them pay to have them publicize your book," because they were so hesitant to say, your book published by this other guy. I'm like, seriously, at least try. You're just insulting at this point.
Yeah, and the trouble is they take a lot of these bad actors take advantage of the inexperienced, whether that's a brand new author. They also, oh God, we had one publisher that used to prey on elderly. I mean, they would like do presentations like a workshop at a retirement home and explain to these people how they could do all this stuff and how it's so easy to get their book out and stuff. And, these people were spending big money on, fish oil. And it was really sad because, and the older, these older people assume that, well, they're publishers. They must know what they're talking about, and then they wind up with cases and cases of their own books sitting in their house that they can't even, oh, you could sell it at a flea market or you could sell it at this. And like, that's not how publishing works. I mean, it's when you're telling these people that you're going to be able to, oh, we can, for $100, we can get your book in front of Oprah. No, you can't. But these people don't know this because
Right.
they're all about the writing. They're all about the art part of the business. And they forget that writing is a business and you really need to know how publishing works to protect yourself.
Speaking of all that, I noticed just really quick, I looked on your Writer Beware, and it mentions the big multi-billion-dollar lawsuit with Anthropic.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If you have a book or books on that list, to hope to get any money out of that settlement, those books had to have had a copyright registered.
Right. And that's the difference between, because everything we write is already copyrighted.
Right.
Whether we published it or not.
Don't register it.
Right. And that is a problem.
You're SOL if that's the case. And
the problem is sometimes when you're working with small presses, you think that since they're the publisher, they should have registered it. And the thing is, it's $35 and a copy of your book. But people don't think about that. But especially though people who have gone through small presses, they are assuming that the publisher is going to do it. And if the publisher hasn't done it, the odds are the author doesn't know that until something like this comes up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to have it registered if you want to collect damages.
I think those people who do have their copyrights registered are going to make a site load more than $3,000 per book.
Probably because honestly, I think there's the pool of potential claimants, and then the people who honestly can claim because they haven't registered their books. And it's one thing I have talked to several colleges about, is that you spend all that time teaching creative writing and you don't teach people what to do afterwards. You don't teach them how to get an agent. You don't teach them how to get published, how to submit a query letter to or a proposal to a magazine, or what should a publishing contract look like? And the reason is most English professors are not published authors. Yep. So they've studied writing. They can tell you what makes good writing, what doesn't make good writing, but they can't tell you how publishing works. And I think that really a lot of colleges should spend some time prepping their people before they just throw them out into the deep end and say, "Yeah, we did the best we could. Hope you can make it."
So, Richard, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I know you said this is done by the SFWA.
Yes.
You don't have to be a member to go to this blog, right?
Absolutely not. No, actually, Right Everywhere, while it's an official committee of SIFWA, it also gets support from the Horror Writers of America, the Mystery Writers of America, the Romance Writers of America. And but it's open to anybody, any author, or even if you're not a published author, if you're just thinking about getting published, you can write us the question, and we're not lawyers, we're not agents, we can't tell you, but we can say, based on the based on what our records have, what we've seen happen in the past, and also if it is like a contracts question, we can always help you get it over to like contracts at SIFWA, because they have a contract committee, and they've got what they call GriefCom, where publishers say you haven't gotten your royalties from your publisher. GriefCom can step in there and try to help you with that. So there's a lot of things that SIFWA can do. They can do more for their members, because obviously that's who they're going to look at first. But anybody who comes to Writer Beware with a question, we'll do our best to get you an answer, and we guarantee, as much as we can, confidentiality. I mean, obviously, if we get called in front of a judge, and it's not like we haven't been sued before by some of these less than reputable people. Can't say scammers, because the lawyers get very unhappy when I say that, but I can say less than reputable, or less than effective people. We will, actually, we can certainly try to, steer you away from people that we know have a bad track record.
So I was at actually last Thanksgiving with Roe. We were at a mall, and there's an author there, and he just kept saying, they keep telling me my book is exceptional because they only take the top 2%, and they took mine, and I have to pay $100 a year for them to keep it in their catalog in order for it to be published. And
Yep.
then they charged him like $10 a book, and it was a 100-page book. And he's like, well, it's getting close, and we have to pay my $100 to keep it in their catalog for another year. And he's like, they told me it was excellent. So they only take the top. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Like,
and then he finally,
part of a day trying to teach that guy something, and he would not have it.
And then it was a religious text or religious book, and I was like, well, why don't you go to like churches? And he's like, no, it is not a church book. It is a religious text. I'm like, dude, that is where your audience is going to be. I don't know what to tell you. He was like, can I go with you to your next Comic-Con and sell my book at your table? And I'm like, no. I'm like, go talk to Roe. He's not busy. And then I ran away.
And the thing is, I have run into this. There used to be, thank God they finally went out of business, there used to be a big publisher in Maryland called Publish America. And they were what we call a reverse vanity, because they wouldn't charge you up front. But what they would do is price your book so high that bookstores were never going to carry it. And so their whole market was selling your book back to you. So,
Yep.
And then specials, we will cut the price of your book by 50% if you'll buy 50 of them at a shot or whatever. And they would just market to, so they claimed at one time they had like 68,000 authors. But that was their market. That was not their readership.
Right.
And I saw several people who I'd meet them at conventions, and they were published through this less than reputable publisher. The thing is, I'm not going to get in their face and tell them that they've made a mistake, because honestly, they've made the mistake.
Right.
If they ask me, is there a better way to do stuff? I will, but I'm never going to go to them and say, hey, dude, you got scammed, because honestly, you're just throwing a bigger torch on a burning fire,
Right.
because then they're going to get defensive. They're going to get, oh no, because my they didn't do their research ahead of time. They've jumped in, they signed the contract. I hate it. People sign a contract and then come to us and say, was this a good contract to sign? Ask the question before you sign the contract, because once you've signed it, ain't nothing we can do except use you as a bad example.
So the guy that I was talking to, he kept saying the company, he goes, it is the New York Publishing Company. Not a New York publishing company, but the, and I'm like,
and probably it's about 3 years old, with a website where you can't find out who actually runs it because they've hidden their name under who is. And yeah,
right.
I see that. Unfortunately, I see that. And it's so easy. You could, because again, you know what the requirements are to be a dentist, right? You have to go through school. You got to go through the boards, the whole night. Same thing for doctors. Same thing for lawyers. You know what it takes to be an agent?
No.
I'm an agent.
I'm an agent. You print out a business card. You are now officially an agent, because there's no certification. There's no qualification other than I want to be an agent. And so we get a lot of people playing what we call agent the role-playing game. Because what's happened usually is they have tried to get published. They get their books rejected by agents. And so they have decided that they're going to become an agent and help other people get published. The trouble is, they're not in the industry. They've never worked in the industry. They don't know any of the editors, so they don't know what the editors are looking for.
Mm.
And so they just basically shoot your stuff off blind, usually to where it shouldn't go. So it's like sending a romance novel to Bain or sending military sci-fi to Harlequin.
No, that's better, because no one else is doing that. So your chances are much better.
Oh, yeah.
We will stand out.
And so what happens is like Bain will look at this and go, oh God, not this person again, and just toss it without. So it might be a perfectly good story for Bain, but if that agent's got a bad reputation because they don't know what they're doing, the editors would just toss it without even looking. And basically they're not doing anything that you can't do yourself. And that, yeah, but then they'll come back. Oh, well, I racked up, I sent out so many copies of your book, so you're going to need to reimburse me for my postage. And and it's just, and they're like, well, you're sending emails. What postage? But
shipping and handling. Yes.
Oh yeah, it's just, and they nickel and dime you until either you run out of money, or they finally just get enough people complaining about them that they just stop. They change their email address, they get a new phone, and you have no way in contacting them ever again. And they've either got your book, because, and not that they care about your book, but if you've signed with them, another agent isn't going to take you until you're sure until you get a release from your current agent. And if they've just disappeared, what the hell are you going to do? Or at least you can't submit that book anymore. You'll have to write a new book.
Yeah. I met another author at a Comic-Con. She said her first book she filmed with that Vanity Press trap, and she goes, I'm not even going to tell you how much I had to pay to get the rights to my book back.
Oh, they're good at that too.
And she's like, but never again. And she goes, I just started self-publishing. I was like, well, yeah. She goes, it was a less expensive lesson, but I learned. And I was like, well, you learned. So that's important.
Right.
And
so many don't.
Yeah, and I know some. I understand why some people say this. I don't necessarily 100% agree with it, but as some people say, it's better to not be published than to be published badly. Because you can, if people read your first book and it was badly edited, badly formatted, you get bad cover art, which, as like I said, some of these less than reputable publishers would just slap stuff on a cover and call it a book. People are going to read, say if that's the first one they pick up, say your next one comes out and it's a much better story, much better edited. People are going to remember, oh, I've read this person before. They're not very good. And, and not pick up your second book.
Yep.
So don't get in a hurry. And I think that's what a lot of people do. As soon as they get the book ready, they're ready to sell it right now. No, take your time.
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, you know what? If it takes an extra 3 months, who cares? It's going to be on the market for 30 years. Is that 3 months going to make all the difference? Do it right.
Absolutely.
So, but I just want to say, next we will be back Monday with Tracy Ortolano, and Mike Molman from Beaver Castle Media. It will be an agent for your literary agent for you. So if you want to start sending checks my way now, I will send that off. I will charge you very minimal for shipping and handling of the electronic documents that I send if I bother.
It's, I tell you, the second you say the word, I'm a writer, 400 people will show up with their hand out going, hey, I can hook you up.
Yeah. I can take your money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Richard, thank you for this, and thank you. I'm glad we didn't forget about the Writer Beware, because I think that's important. And again, it's free, everybody. WriterBeware.blog. It's free, and there's other things. I looked into actually being in the SFWA, and then I said, well, I'll do that later. Kind of like I said, I will copyright my books later, which now I'm thinking I should probably do.
I would recommend
$1,000.
So, but thank you again, Richard. And
thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I've had a ball here tonight.
On the Wings of Steel has been out since May. It's steampunk. I always tell people I absolutely love the idea of steampunk, but I've never read a story that I like. So now I'm going to give yours a try. And if I hate it, I won't tell anyone. So, they'll only hear about it if I love it, or if I, get around to reading it, because I'm very good at buying books, and actually reading them is not quite as good.
All right. Go get Richard's book and get 2 of your friends to join Bald&Balding.
Yes, please.
So I can stop talking about it. And for everybody who's joining us here tonight on YouTube and or TikTok or wherever, thank you very much for spending an hour and a half of your time with us. We appreciate it. And we will see you Monday at 7.
Okay. Wave off.